bold of you soldiers to enter my throne room while court is in session. I hope you've something worth my time, or, at the very least, worth your lives. The resistance, you say? Fascinating. And their leader? What of their leader? Splendid. Bring him forward. Well, well, well. The little hero brought before me at... What is this? What is this? Why is he bruised? I gave express orders that he was to be unharmed. Unharmed. Does he look uninjured to you? I don't care if he fought back. I don't care if he slaughtered your entire regiment. You were to bring him to me without harming him. You know what? No. You're not worth wasting my time on right now. Guards, arrest them. Then the rest of their company and the commanding officers they served under. I'll torture them all to death later. The court is dismissed. I said dismissed. Finally, we're alone. Now, to focus on what really matters. I'm very sorry they hurt you, my dear. I assure you it was not my intention. No. Capturing you was my intention. Coming face to face with you, the leader of the only resistance movement in recent memory. That was my intention. No, not for torture, not for death. Something much more interesting. I have an offer for you. My, so aggressive. Your hatred knows no bounds, does it? Poor thing. Do you even know why you fight me? Yes, of course you know why, but not why. Understand? I thought you might. Think about it. Why is it that you are the leader of the resistance? What drove you to stand up against me when no one else would? Obviously, it was the right thing to do. Anyone could see that. But no one other than yourself even bothered to try. Why do you think that might be? And let's add to that, shall we? Everyone who opposed my rise to power over the years is dead or worse. Why aren't you? Oh, no. I could have crushed your little group at any time I wished. This was simply the first opportunity I had to capture you alive and unharmed. Or it was supposed to be. Yes, I wanted you alive. If I hadn't, you'd be dead. Had you yet to ask why, when it would be so much easier just to do away with you? Let's answer those questions together. To do that, we need to tell a little story. The story of a young conqueror, long before she achieved limitless power, when she was still barely a warlord. Bear with me for a moment. It'll all make sense. So, a young conqueror, fresh off the high of great victories, but with ambitions so much more. Somehow, and that is a tale we don't have time to tell, unfortunately, she came upon a magic spell. The kind of magic the world dreams about. Magic for which kings would beggar their nations. Mothers sell their children into slavery. Brothers stab each other in the back. A spell that would grant eternal life. Oh, forgive me the melodrama. I've been waiting hundreds of years to tell this tale. Regardless, yes, a spell to keep a single being eternally young and healthy forever. The only problem was, even for a ruthless warlord, the cost in blood was appalling. But she knew that if she ever wanted to realize those ambitions of hers, she couldn't be held back by little things like morals and ethics. The only course forward was clear. She had to remove everything standing in her way, even if that something was part of her. I see that expression. Yes, it sounds so unthinkable, doesn't it? But of course it would. To you. To her. Exercising kindness, compassion, mercy, sorrow, love. Everything that makes up a soul. It was simply the only solution. No, not her humanity. Humanity isn't some abstract collection of pitiful emotions. Humanity is spirit, drive, the willingness to push through all obstacles, to stand up against forces that cannot be overcome, to keep fighting, no matter how hard the struggle. She never gave up that. We shall have to agree to disagree, my dear. But she believed as I do, and she removed her very soul to make herself a better conqueror. No longer limited by the restraints of mere humans, she placed it in a vessel for safekeeping, and then underwent the ritual, gaining eternal youth without heed of the consequences that had troubled her shortly before. And after that, she stepped back and began to think. About the future, of course. What else for someone with nothing but future before her? She thought long and hard and came to the realization that, while being soulless is quite good for establishing an empire, it becomes a much less useful state when it comes to keeping one. Even with absolute power, the only way to manage a populace involves a certain level of diplomacy, mercy, kindness. So, she needed to keep the soul around, to find some way to reintroduce it when it would eventually be required. She then disappeared from the public eye for a time. It felt short to her, but several centuries passed. The world at large thought her long dead when she finally returned as the most powerful sorceress ever to live. That sounds more impressive than it is, honestly. Anyone with eternal life could achieve ultimate power eventually, although most would take quite a bit longer than she did, I'm sure. Hush. It's not self-aggrandizing if it's in third person. With the incredible magics now at her command, the subjugation of the world was relatively easy. All bowed before her and she ruled unchallenged. And so it has been for longer than you've been alive. Except, it hasn't been totally unchallenged, has it? Yes. In part, I'm talking about you. Your resistance wasn't the first, though. Before you were born, the remnants of several of the intelligence organizations of the great powers I'd toppled joined forces against me. They were difficult to root out, and before I was done, they'd managed to steal the vessel with my soul. I believe they sought to use it against me in some way. Perhaps a bargaining chip? Possibly they merely attempted to destroy it. Nothing worked, of course. The only being that can damage a soul is its owner. No, I didn't care. I saw no use for my better nature just yet, and I knew I could always come back and find it later. I foresaw no possible way they could use it against me. But I'm sure you've guessed by now, I was wrong. You're piecing it together, I can see. But please, I've waited a long time for this. Allow me the honor? They had no possible way to damage the soul, and no way to attack me directly with it. But the more wizardry inclined of them to figure out another use, they could make it stronger. Not quite. They were able to, through credit where credit is due, some quite impressive pieces of magic. Graft all of the goodness from that young warlord into an infant whose soul was still malleable. An infant who grew up to be twice as good as an ordinary person, completely incapable of standing by and watching injustice, full of compassion and love, and quite possibly for a certain all-powered Empress to kill. Of course, I only found out about this later. A short time later to me, but a lifetime for you. I was so prepared to annihilate the resistance movement that had sprung up from nowhere. But as soon as I saw you, I knew. I knew that you were, quite literally, my better half. I could do you no harm, so I left you and yours in peace while I thought through my options. It didn't take long to realize that this was a blessing in disguise. Over the centuries, I had discovered several minor inconveniences in my original plan that this could circumvent. After all, who would trust kindness from their conqueror? No one would believe a sudden change of heart from tyrannical deposit to benevolent leader. Beyond that, what if there was a flaw in the reintegration process? My soul and I had been separated for a long time, after all. There could be complications. And that doesn't even mention I was no longer sure whether I wanted my better nature back. I've grown quite used to life without silly, inhibiting things such as remorse or morals. Having all of them in an outside figure was perfect. Someone I could call on for advice or send on diplomatic missions without suspicion, and whom I could safely ignore when not needed. You don't enjoy that particular designation, do you? I thought you might not. Well, that was my original plan. For you to be a kind of advisor in chains. A soul kept at arm's length, as it were. And yet, the plan found itself changing without my conscious thought or approval. You see, the more I thought about you, the more curious I became. What would you be like? This man with two souls. Someone so righteous, so noble, so good, so pure. I found I could not ignore my desire to learn. So, well, I learned. I watched. I studied. I tried to understand. It was, of course, difficult. Trying to comprehend someone with such a fundamentally different worldview. One so incompatible with my own. It was certainly an endeavor, but while not particularly fruitful in that I still cannot fathom why you do what you do, it was most definitely worthwhile. Now that I know you, quite possibly better than you know yourself, your little quirks, your habits, your likes and dislikes, every facet of your history, including everything that makes you, you. And the more I learned about you, the more I realized I don't just need you beside me, I want you. Seems foolish, doesn't it? The all-powered evil Empress wanting nothing more than her polar opposite? But, well, there are so many cliches about matters of the heart for a reason, are there not? I may have removed my love, but by no means did I remove my desire. Or, should it be noted, my lust. I saw no purpose in depriving myself of that. Ah, yes, of course. I mentioned an offer. Well, I said an offer, though I don't see that you're much at liberty to refuse. I suppose you could, of course, but then things would go very poorly for quite a lot of people. You will marry me and serve as my emperor, my chief diplomat, and my most trusted advisor. Through you, I will attempt to learn how to rule with the requisite amount of care, so my people never find the will to rise against me. The natural exchange for this is you will have unprecedented levels of control over the greatest empire in the universe. I'm sure you will want to try to lead in a kinder direction. Blunt the knife's edge, so to speak. Rein in the worst excesses of a leader without a soul. You would have opportunities to save those I would destroy. Negotiate with those I would conquer. Lift up those I would crush under my heel. I can make you a promise that I will always take your advice and desire into account before I make decisions, as long as they were based on more than just sentimentality. This is your chance to do more good for all life than you ever could resisting me. Oh, and as a fringe benefit, of course, you will have access to the most beautiful woman in the world. Believe me, I've checked. All of this is completely unmatched. Yes, I assumed you would reject that. Think about it carefully, though. If you don't choose to take up this burden, the universe is doomed to me forever. Yes, I said universe. Did you think I would just stop at one paltry world? I intend to prove that when I say all-powerful, I mean it. No, you cannot stop me. Not from the prison I will place you in if you reject my offer. Oh, come now. You know that I couldn't leave such a dangerous enemy free. Unless, of course, he was by my side. Freedom is relative, my dear. To some, it means the ability to go where one wishes. To some, the ability to choose their destiny. To others, it simply means no responsibilities. With this choice, I give you the second. If you choose not to be with me, you gain the third. Unfortunately, I don't see a way for you to gain the first. But certainly the way to be farthest from it is by choosing prison. Again, I urge you to reconsider. Think of all the monstrous acts I've committed, all of the evil in my heart, all of the suffering that led you to rebel in the first place. You could save uncounted people's lives from that. You could save the very universe. And there's no way to betray me from inside of a cell. There's that honor of yours come to the surface. It gets you into nothing but trouble, you realize? Of course you wouldn't. And I wouldn't have you any other way. But still, being positioned so close to me leaves you in a unique spot to tear me down. My blind spot, in fact. Oh, no. You won't be able to. I'm quite sure of that. But you'll never even have the chance if you stay rotting in a cell for the rest of your life. Now, will you? I can see you thinking about it. Don't pretend the idea doesn't appeal to you. My dear, it would appeal to anyone. If you won't do it for the altruism, then selfish reasons will suffice. Consider being the emperor of the known universe. A tempting offer, I'm certain. Well, don't dismiss yourself so fast. Unlimited pleasures, food and drink, and comforts and servants. And might I remind you again, the most beautiful woman in the world. Of course, I plan on us both living forever, so there wouldn't really need to be an heir, but having one around couldn't possibly hurt, could it? Besides, the making of such might prove enjoyable. Beginning to understand, are you? Still reluctant? Remember also, I am a vengeful, spiteful empress who's used to getting what she wants. Now, we both know that I could never hurt you. If you decide to refuse me, you will face no other consequences than your cell. The rest of the world, however, may not be able to say the same. I have no qualms about taking my anger out on innocents. Hero, I've explained all of this already. I need a diplomat and a trusted advisor. And I want you by my side. Simple reason, surely. No, I can promise you that... I've told you No, you don't. You're incorrect. I do not miss having a soul. I cannot miss having a soul. I can't even comprehend what it would be like to have a soul anymore. And I have long outgrown my naive desire to find out. I merely wish to have access to a soul, as I said. Believe what you will, hero. And if you wish to search for a modicum of good in me, a seed of redemption, it will be your privilege to do so, should you remain by my side. You will find nothing, but if the attempt is what convinces you to join me, so be it. Oh, assurances of what exactly? Don't get greedy now. I suppose I could have anticipated that one. Yes, if any of your fellow resistant members are still alive, they will be pardoned of their past crimes and released. There's that noble streak. No, hero, my orders must be obeyed. More than that, you were not supposed to come to harm. The soldiers who injured you will face the most painful death I can inflict. They are soldiers serving the empire you fought against? Surely fewer of them to oppress the people is what you desire? You are infuriatingly stubborn. Is this a preview of the rest of my eternity? If so, I can't wait. Fine. Most of the company will be spared. The ones that actually injured you, though, they cannot be allowed to live. That is non-negotiable. You are running out of times I will allow you to hold that over my head. Either accept the offer or don't. Their executions will be painless, but for injuring their new emperor, they will be executed. Well, if any of these assurances aren't precursors to you becoming their new emperor, you'd best tell me now, so I can put every single execution back on. Why, yes, this is extortion. Any other keen insights you'd like to note? If you believe extortion isn't the correct way to secure my reign, well, then you'll have a very long time to convince me of that. As soon as you take the deal. If it helps, I've already had the rings forged. I can think of no better use for the remnants of the vessel that once held my soul. Well, you, my dear, are not remnants. I can think of plenty of better uses for you. Would you like to experience some of them? Because you won't be able to from inside of a prison cell. You've been considering and debating for a long time now. I'm beginning to grow impatient. If you like, I could always lock you up for the next few years. Come back when you're somewhat less reluctant. Whatever you decide, you will make your decision now. You have until the count of 10 or I will decide for you. 10, 9, 8, 7,